The first thing we need is to have a tool to be able to write C++ code. So you could totally open any text editor you want and start writing any code, however, that's not going to be very practical. Here we will install an IDE, which means Integrated Development Environment. Very basically put, this software will allow you to write code, use features such as auto-completion, compile your code, run your programs, organize your projects, etc., etc. And there are many different IDEs. The one I have chosen here is Visual Studio Code, also named VS Code. This is an open source and multi-platform IDE, so you can use it for free on Windows, Linux, and macOS. The interface is quite nice to begin with, and this software is actually used by many developers all over the world. So what I advise you to do is to follow the course using Visual Studio Code so you have the exact same setup as me, and then of course as you progress more and work on different projects, feel free to test other development tools and choose the one you prefer. So let's start the installation. I will provide the instructions for Windows, Linux, and macOS, and here you can see on the screen the time for each installation. And so this video is for the installation specific to each operating system, and in the next video we will configure the IDE. And let's start with Windows. So you can just go on Google and type Visual Studio Code, okay, and you will get to that page here, code.visualstudio.com. And you should be able to directly download here Visual Studio Code for Windows. If you don't have Windows here, you just click here, you choose Windows Stable. Okay, so I'm just going to download that, and it's going to open a new page. You can just save the file and wait until it's downloaded. Okay, and once you have the executable here, you can just click to execute. Okay, you have to accept the agreement. Next, you can click on next. Okay, next. You can keep the options here with add to path, next, and then install, and you just wait until the software is installed. Okay, and that's it for the installation, so very quick and easy. I'm just not going to launch Visual Studio Code now. I'm going to click on finish. Okay, and I'm going to go to this tab. Okay, and the thing is that if you want to run C++ code on Windows, you need to install a compiler. Because when you have C++ code, you can't just execute that code. You will need a tool, which is called a compiler, that is going to take this code and transform it into an executable with binary stuff. And well, you don't need to know all the details about that for now, but it's going to create an executable, and then you can run that executable to run your program. And so if you want to check if you already have a compiler for C++, just go here and type cmd or terminal. You just open a command prompt, as you can see here on Windows, and you do g++ and then space -- version. Okay, you press enter, and you can see here I have g++ is not recognized as an internal or external command, which means simply that g++, which is going to be the compiler for C++, is not installed. So we can't compile. We can write C++ code, but we can't compile the code. So I am going to install the compiler for Windows. And for that, you can just type here VS Code run C++, and you will get here documentation that is very helpful on the Visual Studio documentation page. So we are going to ignore that for now, and we are just going to install a compiler. Okay, and the compiler we are going to use MingWX64. So we have here, you can click on that link. Okay, so just search for that page and then go on that link, and then you have to wait, okay, 5 seconds here on sourceforge.net. So you are going to wait and save the file. So I don't give you exact links because any day they might change the URL for the documentation or for the installer. So if you just follow the steps I did, you are going to find the compiler every time. And now, well, you can just click here to install it. So if you have a pop-up, you click on yes, And then, so you have the installer, click on next. And well, the version you can choose whatever is the latest. For the architecture, you are going to choose x86-64. Okay, make sure to choose that one. And then the rest is okay. Next. Okay, so you are going to keep that, but this is important. Make sure to know where is it, because you are going to need to check that just later. So it should be in program files or something similar, and then Ming, etc. So you click on next, going to install it. So that can take a few minutes. Okay, and once it's done, you just click on next and finish. So the compiler is installed, but you need to do another step in order to complete the installation. And this is, you need to add the compiler to your path. So what you can do is simply search here. So you just search on the Windows search, edit environment variables. Okay, you just type that, edit environment variables, and you just click here, and you will get to that window. And you are going to find, here you will find a variable named path on the top part of the window. So you choose path, you click on edit. This is going to open a new window, and you have different path here. And you are going to click on new. It's going to add a new one. And here, what are you going to put? Well, from the documentation, you can see this is going to be that one. So this is the path to the compiler. And as you can see here, this is program files, Ming, W, etc. So that's what we had when we installed the compiler. If you had something else, you will need to find yourself what is the path, okay? So for example, you can go here, program files, and then Ming, where is it? Here, okay? And then that one, you are going to find this folder, and then the bin folder, and you can just click here on the Windows bar, and that should be here, that should be the path. So you can just copy that path, okay, on the bin folder, and copy that path and put it in this new line here, okay? So make sure you end with min gw64 slash /bin. You click on OK, and now, well, you can see you have a new line here. So OK, and that should be it. Now, if you go back to the terminal with cmd and you do g++ version, you will see g++. So this is recognized, and it's going to give you the version you have. So whatever version, it doesn't really matter here. And finally, so the installation is complete, you can just start Visual Studio Code by typing Visual Studio Code here, choose the app, and you can start Visual Studio Code. And in the next video, we are going to configure the IDE. And now here are the instructions for how to install Visual Studio Code on Linux, and as you will see, it's much easier than on Windows. So the first thing is that on Linux, by default, you will have G++ installed for you. So if you do G++ -- version, you will already have something working here. So you don't need to install G++, it's already here for you. And then, well, to install VS Code, you can search here in applications. So you have the graphical way to do that, or you have the terminal way. So I'm going to show you both. You can just search here for programs, okay? And so, well, for example, here I have Ubuntu software, okay? And if you explore and you search for Visual Studio Code, well, you can see you will find Visual Studio Code, and you can just install it or remove it. So here I already installed it before, but you can just simply remove it or install it like that. And then if you want to use the terminal, because, well, we are on Linux, so let's use the terminal. If you are actually on Ubuntu, you can use the snap package manager. And so you can just install VS Code with just one command line. You do sudo snap install code. So that is named code, not VS Code. And then -- classic. You press enter, you provide your password, and well, actually it's already installed for me, but it's going to download, so it's gonna take a few seconds, and then install for you, and it will be installed. Then if you, so I'm going to go on this page here, you can see the URL here, so code.visualstudio.com/docs/setup/linux. This is going to be the help for how to install Visual Studio Code on Linux. So you can see here the snap installation for Ubuntu, and you can see if you want to install with directly the .deb package. Okay, so you have a bit more instructions and for different OSs. So if you have a specific Linux installation and you know what you're doing, well, you can follow the tutorials here. And then, well, once it is installed, to run Visual Studio Code, you just do code on the terminal, and that's going to start Visual Studio Code. Or you can also, here on the application, search for Visual Studio Code and you just run it from there. And well, the instructions for macOS are also super simple. So on macOS, you will have also G++ installed for you. So you have a C++ compiler. And then you can just go back to the Visual Studio Code web page. And here, instead of Windows, you will have macOS, okay, stable. You can also scroll down the page and find different downloads, okay, Universal, Intel chip, Apple Silicon. So just download whatever you need. And then you can see here also the help for the setup on Mac. So you just download basically what you found here, and then you just get the Visual Studio Code.app that you place on your applications folder, and then you just run it, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so now you have Visual Studio Code installed on your computer as well as a C++ compiler.